What up? I'm here. Who you looking for?
Huh?
Who you looking for? Somebody?
No, I was going YouTube. I was putting this on YouTube.
Oh.
Yeah, I just finished it. So we on YouTube live now. So we can go ahead and let them in now. I checked for John and Sharon and
It's
you.
AJ.
AJ on there. We bringing AJ in as a co-host?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw him there.
Okay, no. I just saw the first person I saw.
So we can go ahead and we can go ahead and let him in.
Good afternoon, AJ here.
Hey, Jay, what's up?
Not much.
Kurt, what's up? Felipe, Jackie.
Hey, how we doing?
What's up, everybody?
Hey, Jackie.
Hey, Jackie, what's up with that new do?
I know, honey. I change it all the time. All the time.
Hey,
Stop
you know.
Stop wrestling with me, Dunbar. You always talking about my hair.
I'm so used to you looking like brown sugar over there. With
that big old curly dude.
With the natural curly afro. She don't look like brown sugar over there.
You muted him out.
All right, guys. So today we actually gonna be finishing up some of what we started last week because we feel like we have some more things that we wanted to cover and we ran out of time. Obviously, we did more than 3 hours last week, so appreciate all the support. We just had a lot of love, a lot of support. Stuck with us for over 3 hours of training last week. 100 people here, another 70 some odd people, whatever, on YouTube watching there as well. So we had a great audience taking in that information, but because we had so many different trainers, we actually had a few things that we kind of skipped over. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to be adding one of those things to the training every week. So this week, we're going to be talking a little bit more about how to put truck drivers' emails so that you have some way to contact people, a little bit of what to say in that email. I'm going to also cover how to template your emails if you're using Gmail. Now, if you're using Outlook or some other service, obviously, I can't tell you how to do that. I don't use Outlook. I just use Google's email. So sorry, guys, I can't. It's just like when I talk about phone services, I can't tell y'all how to use Android because I'm an Apple person. Apologize. But I can tell you how to, I can certainly tell you how to template your emails on Gmail for free so that you're not constantly writing the same emails over and over again. And also how to respond with those templates as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to congratulate one of our newest field trainers that are here on the call this evening. And on top of mentioning that field trainer, we're going to also give you a list, or either give you a list or show you a list or mention the list. I'm not sure how we're going to do it because trainers handling that part on field trainers that Legal Shield feels like can field train you in the CDL space. So now you don't have to use a field trainer that just does CDL, but for those that are asking, because there's always a lot of people saying, hey, I got field trainers in my area, but they don't do CDL, which makes sense. So corporate has listed next to field trainers what they kind of specialize in or whether they do enough sales in that space that they can help you in that area. And we're going to cover that list as well so you have a better idea of who you can use. And then if you choose to use your upline or somebody in your area that just does it and you want to use them, that's totally fine. We're not telling you, you can't use those people. So we're going to be covering that as well. So we're going to get right into our information and appreciate all you guys on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe over there. If y'all have questions, put them in the chat and we'll bring them over here to the Zoom space. So you're still part of the audience, guys, even though y'all on YouTube. I know sometimes it's easier to get on jump on YouTube. So we're going to definitely congratulate you guys. Thanks, guys, for doing this as well. So we're going to do a quick introduction. And then we'll go from our introductions right into the information. So I'm going to turn it over to the queen first. Yeah, look, look, you see her face? You the queen on the call. You first. Introduction, ladies first. So Sharanda Ivy, it's on you.
You be careful with that, you know what I'm saying?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sharanda Ivy out of Byron, Georgia. Been with Legal Shield 9 years, since 2013. CDLP certification trainer, field trainer, been recognized 2 years, 2019 and 2021 field trainer of the year. Specializing in this space, just focused on this industry. Became a student of both Legal Shield and the CDLP coverage that we offer, leading with small biz as well, doing some cross-selling here, just servicing the whole client. Last year recognized as #2 group opener as well. And we've written going on almost 2,000 personal memberships ourselves. And so just glad to have you here. Look like our numbers are up a little bit tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed. Also, I'm a 50K ring earner. I always tend to forget that, but I'm a 50K ring earner, and I really earned that here in this space, guys. Truly did that here. And so, but glad to see a lot of you on tonight. I hope y'all enjoyed the 4th annual. If you missed it, definitely catch the replay as well. And we're gonna try to finish up some of the things that we didn't get to cover on last week for you. So, so if I can be of service to anybody, so work with, our company is nationwide. So if I can help you, I have a lot of associates definitely that I work with all across. So just reach out, let me know. We'll definitely try to assist you in this space as well. So over to you, Dunbar.
All right. So Robert Dunbar here, been with Legal Shield 13 years. I worked every area of Legal Shield pretty much. Did the networking, did the insurance agent side, the regular group, CDL group. I mean, I kind of played all fields with Legal Shield, and I'm a 100K ring earner, got 2 50K ring earners on my team. The CDL space for me is really fun because it's niche. I love niche. I love, it's expensive to market to everybody, just in case you don't know. So when you got a niche market, it's easier to market to just a group of people, a smaller group of people. So I definitely enjoy only having to have materials and emails and all of that for a specific audience. So that's always good. We're here to help. I really like to do more of the sales side because I'm a trainer. So talking about sales techniques, different ways that you can do it. It's great to learn all the aspects of what the plan does. We talk about that here. We talk about the industry because you can, but you can't effectively market to an industry that you don't understand. And it doesn't matter what you know about your product. If you don't know about sales, it's going to be hard for you to make sales, and a multitude of sales, I should say. So we cover all aspects here: sales, how to understand the industry, and understanding the product that you market to them. And of course, we cover cross-selling and selling the small business plan, and how to walk in and talk to a trucking company, how to call if you don't want to leave your house. All those aspects are covered somewhere in what we do on a week by week. So this is episode 99. Episode 99 as far as our video Zoom trainings, but we've been doing this for 4 years, guys. 4 years, every Monday, we've been doing this at 8:30. Rain, sleet, or snow, it doesn't matter whether it falls on a holiday, we do this. So we're always here, and all of our episodes are recorded. So you can look at them from even 4 years ago, the audios, because we started on audio and then we moved over to Zoom, and now we have it on the YouTube channel as well. So that's pretty much where it's at. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. What are we gonna start with first, Sharina? How you want to start with first?
I can tap in on what I didn't, because I think you've interviewed me before, so we can just share about what I didn't share the other night about some of the things I wanted to share, like the email. And I just wanted to also just put in a disclaimer about the research, because I really haven't looked at the replay, so I can't really remember what I talked about. I'll be honest with you, but I do know that it's a couple of things I didn't show. So I am going to show my screen, but I will say the things that I did share on the call last week. And if you've looked at the other 3 trainings, especially the 3rd annual, because every year they got better and better. And so if you look at the third annual, you'll see that what Lamar talked about. And I tried to bring that in a little bit more for the person who may be looking at that report for the first time, so it doesn't get overwhelming, because you can tend to gather a lot of information. But even with the smallest amount of information, I've learned that a lot of associates does a lot of research, and then they don't use the information that they research in the prospecting part of talking to the client, which is a waste of time. Why did you do all the research if you're not going to use the information to have a more personable conversation? And Lamar talks about that, but we, just wanted to make sure that you didn't get overwhelmed with research, and that's what you focus more of your time on. But what I've learned is that if you just can target a few things about that particular company, it starts to bring dialogue. They'll start to listen at you because you're talking about them. They'll remember some things, okay? So with that being said, I'm gonna share my screen. And number, if you want to have them, if they had a question from last week, maybe we can kind of maybe have time after you do yours to maybe answer a few questions.
Oh,
So can you see
absolutely. Yeah, I'm actually posting that in YouTube now. I was just posting to YouTube as well. If anybody has any questions, they can post a question and then we'll ask the question. So you got a couple of different options here. You can either raise your hand or post a question. I will tell you it's more effective to raise your hand, because if you raise your hand, it puts you to the top and we'll see your hand raised, and then you can unmute yourself and ask a question. So that's always a better way to do it, because sometimes if you just post your question in the chat area, it'll just get lost. If other people are posting stuff, it'll go down and we won't see it. So if you have a question, just raise your hand and be patient, and at a break or something, when Sharanda stops for a second, I'll ask the question or unmute so that maybe Sharanda can answer the question or ask what your question is, if that makes sense. So Sharanda.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, all righty. So I actually, this is the company that I showed on the training, because I used this company to show where a company had used some type of adjudication, whether or not the attorney, they pay for their own attorney, maybe the company data queued it. But this is what, if a company's had some adjudication done, this is where you would see that information. So you can see the red that it says state citation result, conviction of a different charge. So that means that, like I said, it could have went a couple of ways. An attorney could have went to court for them on behalf of the driver and got this reduced, and then they data queued it in the system, or they could have just went in the system without going to court and got it data queued, and they changed it. So it could have went a couple of different ways, but this is what it would look like if if a company has some adjudication. And that's what, our plan does. It helps with that, meaning our attorneys go to court, then the company would do what they call data queue from any changes that happens in court. They get the documentation, the company can data queue it, and this is how it would look. The original violation is still there, but it tells you that it was changed. So that means the points was actually changed. If it acquired points, those points were either, reduced, in the system, in the portal in which they can see it, which is where they log in to see that. So that was the example I used for this company. But I also wanted to, because Dunbar is going to talk about emails, and a lot of times when I'm training, of course, everybody knows for the last 2 years, I've worked my business, from the house since we've been in COVID. I switched from walking in to 100% on the phones, and my business just grew that way. And last year we earned the ring by doing that. We hit the highest position as Silver Executive Director, just from home, working from home on the phones. So a lot of times when I'm doing presentations with DMs, they'll ask, hey, can you send me something about what we just talked about? Or can you send me some information so I can review it? And so Dunbar is going to talk about how to set up emails and email templates. But you may say, like, if this is what you're using to do your research, this is where you can go to get the email. And this is a big company, but I knew that we could see some adjudication. So don't worry about all that right there. Those are accidents. So when you come down, most companies, they won't have that long list right there, but this company is it has a lot, it has thousands of trucks. But if you come down to the bottom here where it says carrier registration, and I'm hoping they've got theirs here. Okay, so when you click that, it should be an email here every now and then. They don't have their MCS 150 form updated, but this is where you will find an email for the company. Now, if you're either way, I'm sure bigger companies as well, but you have to know that this email here is a public email, so it gets a lot of solicitation. And so with me personally, I work with smaller companies, anywhere from one, I start with one that owner operator all the way up to whatever. You can find that email, but they may use another email that they check more often. Now they have to check this one because it's connected to FNCSA and they may need get some important emails from them. So if you can have this email, maybe you didn't get the email from the individual when you were talking to them, or maybe you talked to them for a few minutes and for whatever reason you think you want to send them something. This is the email this is where you would find that email. But you have to know, like for the smaller companies, sometimes, of course, they use a different email. So instead of saying, oh, I have your email, it's such and such, right? Or I don't ask about an email. I always ask, even though I can see it here, I always ask, can we confirm your email? And so I want them to give us the email. So they give us the email. Sometimes it's the email that's on here, and sometimes it's not. It's most like a 50-50 chance. It could go either way. A lot of them have changed it or they use another email. And so that's why we always ask, because we want to make sure we get the email that they're going to check. So that's how you can find the email to the company. And so Dunbar is going to actually show you here shortly how to send templates. So now you have an email to work with, so you can send it to, to the person maybe that you spoke with. Okay. And so that's really what I wanted to show. I know I didn't show that. Like I said, I really don't know everything that I talked about last week because I did not look at the replay. But if anyone have any questions, I see Mr. Hicks, he has his hand up, Dunbar.
Yes.
I just wanted to note that I don't see the record icon, so I don't know if it's being recorded or not. You said it was going to be recording, so.
You talking about tonight?
No, yeah, I didn't see it up there.
Oh no, it's running on Zoom. I'm on YouTube, so YouTube is being done live there, so that's where it'll be at.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for letting us know, though, just in case we thought we were.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, brother. Yeah,
nope.
absolutely. Does anybody have any questions about what Sharanda just went over? Or Jim, did you still have another question? Going once?
Yeah, I said no. That's all I wanted to bring up. Thank you.
Okay. Good.
I have a question.
Go ahead. Who is that? Carmen?
Yes.
Hey, Carmen.
Hello. For Mrs. Ivy. So when you look at the information, how do you use it when you're making a phone call?
Okay, great question. And this is what what I've learned that a lot of associates, they're not doing. So I'm gonna just pick a company here. So Alrighty. So this company here is out of Illinois. So, number,
What you need?
let me stop sharing so I can start back from the first page. Okay. Okay. All right, so this is another company. Can you see that, Carmen? Okay,
can
you
see
can
it.
see that? Okay,
Yes.
cool. All righty, so when I come to do the research here, I always start at the company snapshot. Most likely I either have the name or the DOT number, maybe the MC number, but most likely it's the DOT number or the name of the company, right? And so I can research that up here, right there, put either whatever information I have and it'll bring up the company snapshot. So I come here and I gather the telephone number. Definitely, I always check the location, meaning the physical and the mailing, because some companies are, they start their companies in other states for whatever reason, maybe tax purposes. But the physical address is somewhere else, or the mailing address is somewhere else, right? And so I always check to see how many power units, because if I've done research, and this here, I have to say, guys, this here isn't always accurate, meaning that it says 1 to 2, but when you start to have dialogue with the prospect, you may learn that they have more than what's posted. So it's good to ask questions, right? I'm not really concerned about all this right here, because I'm gonna ask about just their business in general. This can be overwhelming, but if you start to just ask questions, you don't have to really worry about this. So I'm just gonna do it how I do it. I'm looking for the power units and the number of drivers. Then I come down here and I look at the number of inspections, because the out of service numbers may not be high. So if they got a lot of inspections, I actually like to go in and see what type of inspections they're having that may not have them out of service, right? Maybe they have a habit of speeding a lot or things like that that doesn't actually put them out of service. So these numbers right here won't be high. They just got a lot of inspections, which are bad inspections, but it's not out of service. I look at the fatalities, not often. I will shout out to Tyson. Tyson uses this a lot. He uses it a lot for the trial defense part. I always sell the trial defense because of the industry. Whether they've had an accident or not, I always tell them, as a carrier, every time their trucks roll off and they got drivers, that means that driver is rolling off with their business, like their whole livelihood. And so it's because of the industry, right? So, but Tyson really uses that a lot. So kudos, shout out to Tyson on that, about the accidents and the crashes. And I come down here and I talked about this, about audits. This when you know that they've had some type of review, which is an audit. And you don't really have to know what it means, because I didn't in the beginning. But if it's anything here besides none, you know that they've had some type of audit, meaning some type of review with DOT, and it's always about safety. DOT is a company that deals with nothing but safety. When they get an audit, it's about nothing but safety. So, and safety is these violations that they get. So I look at that, and then I go to the SMS, and I look at, the complete profile. This company doesn't have anything, But if it did, I'll show you how I maneuver through that, okay? Now, if you look at Lamar's training, he talks about this right here. I'll be honest, until recently, these last couple of years, when I got more educated on what all this really truly means, I can have a conversation now about it. But as a new associate, when I was first learning this, he trained on this, but it wasn't important to me, because what I learned is that the clients really didn't understand this part either, okay? And so, so how I would address this, Carmen, I would, I can't even pronounce the name of the company. I think it's 7 Island Pump and Concrete, right? So we're gonna say Mr. Hicks is the owner. So, I'm gonna say, thank you, Jim, for speaking with me today. I just wanted to speak with you. I saw that, and we're gonna make as if this company had high out of service numbers, okay, guys? Because that's who we're supposed to be prospecting. I don't know why this came up, but this is who we're supposed to be prospecting, those individuals that have a lot of, out of service numbers or a lot of violations, okay? So we're gonna act as if this company was that. So I'm gonna say to him, Mr. Hicks, I see that you've had some, well, actually, I'm gonna just start with introducing myself. Hey, Mr. Hicks, my name is Sharanda Ivy. I'm the local commercial legal rep in the area. Thank you for speaking with me for a few minutes about how we can help, with your DOT violations and CSA scores. Because see, we've already set the appointment, okay? So we've already set the appointment. He's agreed to talk to me. And I'm gonna say, I'm gonna ask him, Mr. Hicks, do you have any programs in place, to help with your violations? And he probably gonna say no. And I'm gonna say, well, can you explain to me how you handle those violations? And he'll probably say, well, I just pay for them, or my drivers pay for them, or whatever. And I'm gonna say, well, Mr. Hicks, looking at your numbers here, I see that your drivers actually, they get a lot of speeding tickets, meaning, these tickets are anywhere from 6 to 10 over. I see some of your drivers actually got some 15 miles over. How did you handle that? Oh, they just paid it. Well, Mr. Hicks, did you know that driver, is he still with you? And he probably say, yeah, nay. A lot of times he might say yes, because it's a speeding ticket. He'll say, yeah, he's still with me. I say, well, did you know that 15 over, if you guys didn't do anything about it and you just paid it, did you know that he can't get another serious violation in 3 years, or his license will be suspended? And he'll be like, no, I didn't know that. And I'll say, yeah, that 15 over is what they consider a serious violation. And if he gets another one in 3 years, which is easy to do, then he got a suspended license. And a lot of times he wouldn't know that because he's on the road. And by the time he gets back home, he gets the letter. Normally the letter's 2 weeks anyway, 2 weeks old by the time it hits his house. And now he's on the road. So now you're about 4 weeks in. And normally they have 45 days to do anything or whatever the letter says. And so, we talk about that. And then I might see another violation, what we consider a serious violation, because I'm talking to him about how he's handling things and what I see on his report. Lamar talks about looking at the summary, right? And I'm gonna actually put in a company here. This is my company. So if y'all guys call him, he will let you know that is his company, and he knows Sharanda. So I want to see a company that actually has some violations. And I think we could pull Crete back up. Crete Solutions. I think they call it Crete Carrier Solutions. So I'm gonna, whatever I see there, Carmen, I'm going to just pull out a few things, right? But it's gonna be specific to him. So we're on this, and I'm gonna hurry up because I don't want Dunbar to do his part. This is a huge company, so don't look at the numbers, but this is good though. So this company here, it's not over the national average, right? Even though they have thousands of drivers, they're still not over the national average, but they're creeping up to it. Do you see that? they're getting close to that 21.6. But they've had a lot of inspections, so, and they've had some fatalities, but it's a huge company. So I'll maybe talk about a little of that, and then see right here where it talks about the audits right here. They're good. They've had some audits, but they're still in good standing, right? So, they've had some audits. And so I would come here, Carmen, and what I would do is I would go down to, now this would be a good company to look at the summary like Lamar teaches. But normally I come down here, I look to see when the last violations or inspections were. So they've been doing pretty good this past month, right? Remember, this is a big company, but we just gonna act like they're a little bit smaller. So I see a company like this, but I started to look and they've had some, some inspections. They got some speeding. See, they got some bad habits there with speeding. And, as a big company, they've done pretty well though. But I would talk about that, Carmen. I'll say, Mr. Hicks, I see your drivers like to speed a lot. Do you have things in place if, they have an accident? This company has had a lot of accidents. So I asked Mr. Hicks, I see you've had some accidents, and were they at fault or not, like they were preventable or not, or non-preventable. And he'll know that because that's important, right? If his driver was at fault. And he'll start to talk to me and I'll start to ask him questions about that. And then I'll probably eventually stop, or he'll say, well, what you got? Most time they'll say, well, what you got? Because it becomes an interrogation. And I'll say, well, Mr. Hicks, I see that your driver speed a lot, sir. And so with that, sir, you want to have something in place because for one, the speeding can cause accidents, and we have a plan that helps with that as well. But we have transportation attorneys, nationwide, right? No matter what jurisdiction, we cover, 49 states, and we can have a local transportation attorney to go to court on behalf of those drivers to help, with these tickets that they're receiving. Because a lot of times I ask, are there tickets? Are there warnings? Do they get court dates? Just as lame as I can be, I just want to know, did that ticket have a court date or that citation have a court date? And they'll let you know whether it did or not, but we have a feature, shout out to Freddie Gibson. We have a feature on our CDLP plan that a lot of people forget and they don't utilize. And that feature is the CSA consultation, right? And so a driver can actually, call in and have a review of his violations. And, we don't encourage that as often as we should, but they could for those violations that they couldn't go fight, just to talk to the attorney to see actually did any points accumulate or how did that affect their driver's license. And so I would have that conversation with him and tell him about our services. We have a program, sir, that we can offer your company to help reduce some of these citations, help reduce some of your CSA points, keep your drivers employable and insurable, with the program that we have. And he'll say how much that costs. I always was taught to talk in weeks. So, and I always talk about the ticket program, but, definitely we definitely try to cross sell with the combo. So it's either $6.91 or I always round it up to about $12 a week. And so, the ticket program is $6.91, and that's just a CDLP plan, and then the combo. And, a lot of times the companies will pay for that ticket program because they understand that the violation is drawing up their numbers. That makes sense? That makes sense, Carmen?
Perfect.
So that's how that goes. I'm not really trying to go deep into it because a lot of times, and they'll ask you, hey, what you see? Like, what you looking at? Where you get that information from, because they've never been to the public or their site and, that they have access to personally, okay? So that's why you don't really have to get so deep with them. You just have conversations about what you see that's personalized. Because like right here, I say, Mr. Hicks, what happened to the, on the 26th, with the driver, that had the violation here? He's like, what state that was? What truck that was? What driver that was? We can't see the driver on the public side, but they can on the private side. but you can say it was in Arkansas or wherever it was at. Yeah, you can say it was in Arkansas, and he'll say, "Oh yeah, I remember that. That was old Bob. That was Bob. I remember that." But you're talking about what you see. He remembers. Now he know you really know what you're talking about, and it's personalized to him. That makes sense?
Yes, it does. Thank
Okay.
you so
I hope that helps. Okay, I hope that helps. Okay,
Good.
cool. All righty. Well, I'm gonna one more thing is we want to show you guys because we get this a lot, and then we want to actually bring this gentleman on and recognize him. Y'all heard my workout partner last week. She actually earned her ring. I think I got my ring on a Wednesday, September the 22nd, I think. And they actually got theirs the following Wednesday, recognized by corporate the following Wednesday in the CDLP space. But this guy and we're cousins. We're on the same team. We're just in separate legs from our platinums. And him and his wife they've really become really close to me and my husband. But a lot of people always ask us about field trainers. And so can y'all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so in the back office, guys, it's a list of all the field trainers. Mike talk a lot about this on a lot of the calls. So we have state trainers, certification trainers. That's Alan. Alan is our senior CDLP trainer. And then we have Dunbar and we have Chris Seeley. We have John Hoffman out of California. You have me in Georgia. And you have Lamar Reynolds down in Texas. And we are the CDLP certification trainers. So when you look at this list, you'll see our name as well. And they have a list just for the CDLP certification trainers as well. But you also have, so all of us certification trainers are also field trainers in the solution space. We're CDLP certified trainers because of the CDLP memberships we sold. So when you see the list, you won't see but a few people. These people are who corporate has appointed as what they say who specialize in CDLP. There's a lot of people out there selling CDLP plans. You see them recognized, but these are field trainers that corporate has recognized that focus on CDLP. And we have a new one on here as well. And so I'm gonna recognize him tonight. So, but on this list here, you'll see Chris Seeley, you'll see Alan, you'll see Dunbar, me, Lamar, and John Hoffman as CDLP and employee benefits. But you'll also see Melissa Wilder, she's because Melissa did a lot in CDLP, and she did phenomenal coming up in, when she was out in the field, and she focused on CDLP for those that didn't know. And you got Alan, and you got Kiela Smith up in Chicago, and Alan again, got Alan and Chris again. But we also have here out of the state of California, he is also a 50K ring earner, and he actually earned his ring in the CDLP space. So right here we have Mr. Arjun Joshi. He is our newest business solutions field trainer, but he does specialize in CDLP. You see corporate has that there as well. And you'll see those individuals where corporate has, deemed that are specialized in this space because of the production that they've written in CDLP. And so with that, we're going to recognize our newest field trainer, and he is specialized in CDLP corporate appointed. You see that on the list. And so we're going to turn it over to him. So if y'all want to give him some kudos, he just got recognized as the most recent field trainer, business solutions, and he is CDLP focused as well. So over to you, AJ.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Sharanda, or I would say my sister from another mother. No, it's a privilege to be a field trainer CDLP is a journey, not a destination, and you learn a lot from doing the business. There's the theory, learn theory, and then there's practical, right? So I have learned both ways, and I'm happy to share what I have learned in the field, and whoever needs help, I'm here to help, and and make sure that they also see the success that I have seen success in this industry. So I and my wife, we're here to help and to grow your business, and in return also grow ours. So back to you, Ms. Sharanda.
Awesome. Well, they gave you some kudos in the chat. And actually, AJ, I think he got interviewed last week, and definitely they focused on CDLP, in this space as well. So congratulations to you, AJ. So with that, Kurt has a question, Dunbar, and then I'm gonna turn it over to you so you can train us on Google.
Hold on real quick before we do that. I want to make sure our June wife don't have nothing to say. So,
okay.
So me and Arjun don't get in trouble.
When I asked her to come on the Zoom, she's like, "Do I have to say something?" I'm like, "Unless they ask." So, Mr. Robert, you just nailed it. So here she is.
And this is important. The reason why I'm asking you to speak too as well is because a lot of times people don't understand how important the support of your spouse is. Sometimes whether you're making calls or doing background stuff, whatever part you play, there's a part. And sometimes people don't understand the whole story. And when you don't understand the whole story, it's hard to replicate the story. Does that make sense? So it's always good for people to understand that the man or the woman is not doing it by themselves. They're doing it together. You could be married and be workout partners in the business as well. So I wanted you to really speak up because you weren't on last week. And I know that you do play a part.
So basically how you work with me and how you kick my ass. So
Oh, Jesus.
I just monitor like the presentation he does. So I listen carefully how he does the presentation, and then after he's done, I suggest him the changes he needs to make his presentation effective.
Awesome.
So I monitor his work.
and she puts the goals on,
Yes.
every day there's every month there's goals. So, she puts the goals on, and, so that's
Take the reports every day.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah. Every time she sees me on my phone, if I'm on Facebook or something, she's like, "Yeah, you're making some money there." I'm like, "Okay, I gotta leave the phone and get on the phone, right? Be productive."
Or he doesn't wake up early, or he is spending too much time on TV, then no.
Oops. Oh, AJ, she really telling on you now.
Yeah.
What is that?
Hey man, we all need accountability partners, man. That's good. That's what it's about. You got to have somebody that's going to keep you straight. And for guys, y'all know the guys on here. Y'all know we don't got somebody keeping us straight. You know what I mean? When we go somewhere, I do the drive, and she tell me where to go. Why don't you ain't park right there? Why you didn't make a right? I'm like, okay, babe, I got you. I'm wherever you want me to go.
Exactly, you're right.
But she ain't gonna drive. She ain't gonna tell me where to go. You drive. I'm gonna tell you where to go. So we need that accountability partner, guys. We need it. It's serious. So no, thank you for speaking up, and thank you for being transparent, both of y'all. Because sometimes, again, a part of success in anything, you'll see people reach a success level and they won't tell their story, which makes it difficult for people to truly replicate what's been done because they don't really know what happened. And it's hard to speculate how somebody got to a certain place. And some of us have been here long enough on this call that we've watched you all go from, hey, I've landed my first company to 50K ring earners, now field trainers in the CDLP space and in the group space over on the West Coast. So no, that's a big deal. That's a big deal, and I love it. And I love a great story.
Yeah,
that's
there's one thing that I like to see numbers, and I bring the memberships in and stuff like that. But then the real number comes down when she's looking at the numbers, and she's looking at how many applications we got, how many are in pre-cancel, what's the exact number, and she gets the sugar coating out and then brings the real numbers, and then you can realize where your business is. And so this is something that everybody on this call should do is to look at the real numbers. What's your production. So that's one thing I learned about from her, that she's a numbers person. She looks at the numbers and see where we at in the reality.
And that's a mic dropper there, Arjun, because when I'm talking to like my training and coaching clients, is one of the things we discuss: raw data. I don't care how good your business is doing. If you don't really know why it's doing that, all it's going to take is for the climate to change in that industry, and your business it shuts down. Because if you don't know what got you there, you don't know how to stay there, and you don't know how to get anybody else there. So you've got to look at the raw number. You got to look at the data. You got to look at how many applications did I put in? How much money did we make when we put in this many applications? Who's in pre-cancel? Because we won't get paid for them any longer if we don't fix that. If you don't look at all of those things, all it's going to take is for a turn in that industry to happen, and your business will shut down. So that's important. It is very important. So I'm glad that you brought that up. And I'm glad that as a partner, you guys are doing that. You like, I'm hitting the field and she's looking at the numbers. And it helps when you can hit the field and not have to look at the numbers, because your significant other is saying, I got the numbers, you do the calls, you go walk into places, and I'll make sure our numbers are what they need to be. That's a really good partnership there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the last thing I'm going to remind everybody is you pay your taxes up front, because that's a tax bill.
Coming from a tax man, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the IRS don't care nothing about nothing else that's going on. You can be important as you want to be. You can have 1 million followers on Instagram, and they still want their money. The IRS is like, you so famous, can we get our check, or we gonna penalize you?
Absolutely. Wow.
Yeah, the IRS not playing. No, that's good stuff. Appreciate that so much, both of you guys, and much success to both of you all.
Thank you.
Awesome. All righty. So kudos to them. And I didn't show it, but guys, another thing you can share besides other things, of course, we always have flyers and stuff, but if you don't really know the other plans in the market and they tell you they have a plan and you don't really know how to explain it, you can send it to them. We have a comparison in the back office. So that's a good thing to send as well through email, the comparison of the different plans out there. And if you don't know, just look in the back office to have a conversation. You still don't have to know a lot about that plan. You be more, if you know, kind of how to have a conversation about our plan, that's where the posture comes. You got to know this membership. You have to know the membership. And so you want to, make sure you learn, how we can help with this membership. And that will bring your posture knowing that. Okay.
All right. So where's Kurt at? Kurt, you still got a question?
Oh, I'm sorry, Kurt.
Kurt Spencer.
It's all good. Hey, that was a great call, Mr. Dunbar, recognizing Miss Joshi. And yeah, Arjun, you definitely married up. So great call on that.
I love it.
So two more question. As a newbie, what should our priority be when we're looking at the profile, the safer profile? Should it be the out-of-service driver, out-of-service vehicles, the driver, the number of inspections, the audit, the crashes, the deaths? What should be a couple things that we focus on?
As a newbie, I just broke that down to you because if you looked at 3, 2, and 1, it's a little bit more in depth. So I just broke it down. I just broke it down to you as a newbie, what you should be focused on. I mean, you gather your information from what I just showed you and have a conversation about that. If you looked at 3, and I go back to 3 because that was the most recent one last year, Lamar goes way in depth. So if you really hadn't, looked at that, I would tell you to replay last week and then go back and look at Lamar's and see how more in depth he goes. And you'll realize that you can't talk on that level yet. And I just simplified it for you.
Okay.
Anybody on here that has did 3 and I did last week 1 to chime in? Dunbar, you seen it. Do you think that it was a little bit more, I don't know the word easier.
Like on the lower shelf, on eye level, you mean?
Yeah, for a newbie to Lamar.
Yeah, I do. I think it was and answering both scenarios. I think that it was you put it down on eye level, the lower shelf, because Lamar does what he does so often that it's normal for him. Like it's very, like Lamar actually speaks at conferences sometimes about that with companies and authorities and things like that. So it's a regular conversation. Last week, what Sharanda went over was this is all you need to know, because when you know too much, sometimes you know more than they know. Now you're talking over the owner's head, and that's not good either. So it's also going to depend on your personality. Like, what do you like to target? You see what I mean? Like some people like to talk about their challenges with the vehicle. Some people like to talk about the challenges with the driver. So some people will pick and choose based on what they would like to talk about. So you look at the whole deal and say, like, some people, they pull up the fatalities and they go right in for we're the only company that deals with tragic accident, right? So that may be your hot point. For you, you may be the kind of person that says, I love to talk about the fact that we're the only company that will cover tragic accident at 100%, right? If that's your thing, then as a newbie, you're going to be looking for companies that have fatalities so that you could use that as a hot point. If that's not a hot point for you, you may say, so it's not really a right or wrong way on that. It's what are you more comfortable talking about? And then that's whatever pain point you're more comfortable talking about, that's the one that you would go after because you would understand. So if you said vehicle or person, that's not going to make a difference on the pain point for that company. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's not a right or wrong approach on that. It just depends on which one you're going to be more comfortable talking about. If you start talking about vehicle OSS and you don't know anything about really what that means other than the fact that you're seeing them there, then now you start having a conversation and now you don't really know how to respond to that person properly.
And it goes back to the point where knowing the plan.
Yeah.
So you're gonna, like he said, if all you can talk about is that tragic accident, because you know that we're the only company that covers that, and that's where you're good at, and that's where you can flow at. You stick and stay where you can flow, because the moment that they feel like they know more than you lost the control of that conversation, and now you're not the expert anymore. Okay, so you want to learn the membership enough where you can look at the research and have a conversation and not get lost, because you get too deep and they ask you a question, you can't answer it. Sometimes they're done. So you talk on what you can, like he said, confidently talk about. And it might be one or two things. It's like I always said, like Kevin Mack, you just keep it right here, right? You just same old thing, right? Back and forth. You don't switch it up. Whatever you strong with, you better stick with that and build upon, and that be your thing. And
Kurt, something that the reason why this is a really good question for everybody is this. This is the part where I talk about understanding your craft and sales. It's one thing to say, I know what Legal Shield does. It's another thing to know what your strong points is as a salesman or a saleswoman. You got to know what you do well and play in your part of the game, right? So a wide receiver in a football game, if that's their position and they do it well, they're notarized for doing that. But you give them the ball, make them a running back, that's not going to work. So you got to play your position. So if you're saying, I really do understand how the out of service works for vehicles, if you really understand that, then that's what you should be talking about to that company and pulling that data. If you really understand what it means for a driver to be out of service, meaning that they've done something wrong as a driver, if that's what you are more versed on, you're more comfortable talking about, you can really engage, whatever you can organically do, right? That's just sales one-on-one. It's like I tell people when they're joining groups, you join the sales group and get in and you start pitching people, right? I'm talking about a Facebook group. And I tell people, don't go to sales group, go to groups where they're talking about things that you organically know how to talk about well. If you like to travel, go into a travel group. You can make sales in a travel group by talking about travel. You see what I mean? Because you build a relationship and then you talk about sales, because people still know what you need, even though it's not a sales group. You have to get into a space where you can talk confidently about a specific thing, and then the sale will come organically. You don't have to join a group to make a sale. So don't go after a certain part. so that you can make a sale. Do what you do well, and the sale will come because you're right, you're comfortable in that space. Your confidence and your comfortability in that space will make the sale. So you got to play around with that, because you'll see as we interview people like our June, when we interview people like Donna, and like Sharanda, what you'll understand is the reason why they became successful is because they realized that they gravitated towards a specific area and they went with that. So Sharanda's thing is small business plans. She goes into trucking companies and she talks to the owner operator about small business before she talks about anything else. You see what I mean? She's in the CDO space, but she realized that her conversation, she was way more confident and comfortable bringing up small business as a topic with that trucking company and talking to trucking companies that had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 drivers than going after a company with 1,000 trucks and going in straight with group CDL. So when she found her niche, that was what, so that's like her saying, oh no, you do that. No, you don't necessarily have to do what Sharanda did, but that's what Sharanda was comfortable doing. So when she found what she was comfortable doing, she did that, and that's where her success was at. So you have to try different ways and figure out which way works better for you. And then once you know that, drill down on that right there.
And I'm not gonna say this hurt to be ugly. I'm not.
Watch out when she say that first.
Because I have to put a disclaimer out there. I do. I done took it wrong. I only talk about what I know and what worked for me. And I promised you, and Melissa talks about this all the time, you have to know the product. You have to. But with the product knowledge, it came, just in the confidence came when knowing the product. Just I had to learn the product, right? But it also came with going out into the market or making the call and having conversations with the drivers and the companies. Because we can sit on the Zoom all day and say what if and this, that, other. If you don't talk to nobody, you'll never, ever move. But if you know the plan and have some conversations, you'll be surprised what you learn and how much you know just by being on these calls. It's just a conversation. If you just have a conversation and can remember what the plan does, and it's like guiding the people. The questions come from knowing the plan and what to ask. So I would say go out and have more conversations, and then you'll kind of start to say, oh, okay, that probably can help, but you don't have to pick and choose, but you'll know the part of the plan that they probably could benefit from. You know what I'm saying? But go have conversations and that'll teach you. So I'll just say it like that.
Yeah. And it'll be a process of elimination. Because when you go and say something and somebody like slam you because you don't know what you're talking about, you're going to do one or two things. You're going to learn or you're going to not do that again. So, one of the things I learned when it comes to running any kind of business or doing anything that you really have passion with doing, just run with it. Because if you run in the wrong way, you'll find out faster if you run fast, right? You'll learn quick to stop, turn around and go back the other way. But if you just wait and you just like, I don't want to go because there might be something bad, the quicker you find out that's the wrong way, the quicker you can find the right way. So if you go and talk to some companies and you realize that I'm not comfortable having that conversation, one or two things, either sharpen up in that area or say, no, that's maybe not my area. Let me talk about this. And once you find something that you can talk about, then when you pull in companies, your prospect is going to be a person with that problem that you know how to solve. That's why some people go after companies with 100 drivers and some people go after companies with 5 because that's their niche.
That's my
and now
niche.
You figured out I can talk to that. I can talk to these kind of companies better. Yeah.
My niche is not talking to the safety manager, the terminal manager. I don't want to talk to anybody but the owner because he's the one that writes the checks and he's the one that's feeling all the problems. And so whereas the safety manager and all of them will give you kickback because no matter what, they just show up, they're going to get a check. It's going to be hard to get through to them, I found. it's a process. But when I talk to the owner, it's always a quicker sale. So that's why I stay with the smaller companies, because I know the number that I have is normally the owner. So,
Yeah.
and most small companies they can't afford a safety manager. They can't afford a terminal manager. They can't afford a help. They normally are everything in their company. So that's, he nailed it right there. That's what I learned when, and associates will tell you when I'm field training, when they got these big companies, they gotta hear from me first. And then we'll talk to them. I don't like it, but we'll talk to them. But I just know where my strength is. And if I can talk to the person who cutting the check, I can close the deal, because I don't have to go through somebody who's gonna get paid and he really don't care about that man bills. Seriously. Yeah, seriously. So that's what I chose. That's why I chose smaller companies, because I realized when I have a conversation with the owner, he and I can have a conversation. I ain't gotta be jumping hoops and nothing. He know what he paying out, and he's trying to figure out why.
Good stuff. Hey, Sharanda, Annette Rozelle said after you said.
Before that question, somebody asked about Lamar. For those that don't know, Lamar, he's still in the business, but he went through some family issues. If you didn't know, he lost his wife earlier this year. So that's why he isn't on the call, but he will be the next trainer at the end of this month on the 27th. So for the guy that asked why he's no longer on the call, because he's not ready to come back on the call, and those was his words, people have to deal with their grief. And so we just pray that he has strength, and just sign up for the class. He'll feel your energy on the 27th when you sign up for the class, because he'll be on there training. Okay. So for those that are asking, because we're family here in Legal Shield, so just pray for his strength, but he will be training with Alan on the 27th. Okay.
Absolutely. After you sell the small business plan, do they offer it to the employees and truckers? Now, I guess that would determine, whether they were owner operators or what, but you can go ahead and answer that. That was from Annette Rozelle.
So read two questions. So another disclaimer: if you don't know how they can use the small business plan in their industry, you may want to have more conversations to see what type of business issues that they're dealing with. But I will tell you that when I talk to the smaller companies and I'm talking to the owner, we're talking about the violation, which affects the company and the drivers, right? But when we're talking about the small business plan, we have to be careful that he has to know the small business plan does nothing for the violations, because his main focus is his company or her company. And when we go in there and talk about these, we can help your company, and we're talking about violations and these citations. That's what our CDLP plan does. So, so for Miss Annette, when I talk about the small business plan, I'm addressing things that he's dealing with as a business owner. But we're going to talk about the citations, because remember, I'm doing research and I'm researching companies that have high numbers. So I'm not just calling any company, I'm doing the research, and these companies have problems. So it's always the violations that is the problem, but he's dealing with other issues too. So I'm wanting to talk about the other issues maybe first, because again, he's thinking about his company. And a lot of times, even though the violations they're bad, or the out of service numbers are bad, he may be dealing with something else that's more important to him that he feels, and our small business plan can help. So I hope that helps you. So we're gonna get to the CDLP plan for his truckers, and that to answer your question.
And of course we know that you can't sell a small business plan to the drivers unless it may be a company that have owner operators as their drivers. Is that the case, Shannon? Like how do you deal with that?
Right. I mean, if they own their truck, you know, you can offer them, because at the end of the day, their truck is a business, but that's just a conversation you would have with them if they're driving up under somebody else's authority. So, but, you know, we're calling to talk to whoever owns the authority, the company that we see on Safer. So that's another whole story. So can we talk about the templates before we go? Because I need to know that.
Do we have, okay, so I said, do we have time? But Shamanda needs to know that, so we're gonna talk about that, guys. So we're gonna switch gears real quick. And this is gonna be pretty fast. So what I'm gonna show you is if you're using Gmail as your, and sidebar, if you have a Legal Shield email address, then that's what you're using. That's totally fine. If you are using a Yahoo, a Gmail, or anything, I would definitely tell you to go in and pay for a professional email. I know with Google, it's only like $6.99. I think it's $5.99. $5.99 a month to have a professional email. Just as a business owner, guys, you should have a professional email, because when I get an email from somebody that says that they own the business and they're emailing me from @Yahoo or @Gmail, I feel some type of way about that. That doesn't mean that they don't really have a business on it, but it tells me like the level of their business savvy if they've been in business for 10 years and you emailing me from a Gmail address. Now, you can use Google and have a professional email, right? So I have several professional emails that I bought through Google. So it's a company name. So what I mean by professional email is I have dunbar.robert@gmail.com. That's my personal email. That's not professional, it's not for business. But I also have robert@trainingbydunbar.com. You guys follow that? So it's not a @Gmail, it's not a @Yahoo, it's robert@trainingbydunbar, the name of my business. So if you're using your Legal Shield email address, then you're good anyway, because that's a professional email. But if you don't have a Legal Shield email address and you're emailing trucking companies with 30 drivers and you're sending it from sweetheart@gmail.com or I'm the man @yahoo.com, then that's not professional, guys. So have a professional ending to your email, because it makes you more of a business professional. I would tell you to do that. That's first of all. Second of all, on the templates, I'm trying to save you time on production, meaning that if you're sending emails that have generally the same thing, then you can template the email if you're using Gmail. And you can probably do it with Outlook and all of that stuff as well. But because I don't use it, I can't tell you how to do it. But on Google, I can, because I use that. So I'm gonna share my screen real quickly. And this is gonna just take a couple of minutes for me to show you this. Again, this is on YouTube Live. So if you need to jump off and go do something else, you can watch it on YouTube Live later on. I know there's other trainings going on. You may not want to miss those if that's happening. But I'm gonna do a quick screen share. And you should see my email here. So you guys see just nod your head if you see my email, so I know y'all see it. All right, good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and compose an email. Oh, let me show you how to cut it on first. So I'm gonna do my annotations real quick, so you'll see a little red dot, so you can follow my cursor. All right, so follow this little red dot. If you go to settings on Google, on your Gmail, go to settings, click settings. And then you're going to click see all settings. And then you're going to go over here to advanced, right? Third from the right. Go over here to advanced and click advanced. And you see where it says auto advanced, and then it says templates. So you're going to go to templates and you're going to enable it, because you're probably on disable right now in your Google. So go on over to enable so that it's on. Once you have it on, now if you go to inbox, and I'm just going to type just a general email. So I click compose. And I'm going to go ahead and take my signature out of here real quick, just because when you're doing a template, you don't want to put a signature in your template, because if you have an automatic signature, it's going to pop up anyway. So you don't need to put the signature in the template. So when I do if I was typing an email and I said, I'm gonna send it to myself, I'm gonna send it to Dunbar.Robert, and I'm gonna send it from my professional email. Oh, excuse me, I'm gonna send it from Robert@Training by Dunbar, and I'm gonna send it to Dunbar.Robert@gmail.com. I'm gonna get my signature out of here again. When I say where I'm sending it from, that automatically puts my signature. So now subject, I'm just gonna put responding to CDL prospect, right? Just a quick test email, right? So I'm gonna say, whose name do I see up here? Barbara. Just sending this to you, Barbara. So, right, so did I still spell your name right? I spelled it wrong. Okay, so Barbara, and I'm just saying, thanks for your time earlier today. Below are the items that you requested. Now, doesn't matter what your email is. I'm just typing something quick so I can get through it, right? And then whether you had an attachment or whatever you had going on there, if that was my email, after I finish putting that email together, I'm gonna go down here to these three little dots and I'm gonna click. See where it says templates? I'm gonna hover over templates and it's gonna show me what templates I already have here, right? Here's your CDL materials. 2022 mid-year coaching, save draft as a template or delete the template. So I'm gonna say save draft as a template, right? Then I'm gonna go over here and save as a new template. I'm gonna click that, save as a new template, and this is what I wanna call it, responding to the CDLP prospect, right? So now I'm gonna click save. So now I saved that as a template and now I can go ahead and I can send it, right? Now, after I've saved it as a template, now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna drop my signature here because it's already saved as a template. So for me, and I'll show you the signature thing at another time. We can't do this right now, it's not enough time. But I'm gonna go ahead and grab my signature, PPLSI signature, drop it there, right? And I'm gonna send it. Now let's say I had to send an email again and it was the same email, but all I was doing was changing who I was sending it to. All I would do is I would go to compose, right? I will pull it up, pull up my information like this, and I'm gonna go to those same three dots. And I'm just gonna click it. I'm gonna go to templates. I'm gonna go where it says insert template, responding to CDL prospect, click it, and it's gonna put it right in there. Now I don't have to type that email again because it's already templated. So you can template whatever emails you want, put them in there, and now I've got it in there. Now all I'm doing is changing my signature from that to my PPLSI signature, changing who it's going to. So I'm not sending it to Barbara, I'm sending it to somebody else. Now I've changed that name and then changed who it's going to up here. And now it's email. So imagine if you had a 3-paragraph email, it's preventing you from cutting and pasting, going to the email forward. I know all of the other different ways of doing it, but this is the cleanest way, right? So that you can do that. And then I want you guys to think in the terms of, let me stop sharing my screen real quick. I want you guys to think in the terms of future business. What happens when your business gets to a size where you've got other people sending emails for you on your behalf? You got other people doing follow-ups for your business. Isn't it easier if you got templates and now they're going to templates that you've already written, as opposed to you hoping that they're writing the right thing to your client that you may have spent the last year prospecting? Right, we heard Arjun say last week when he spoke on the call, he spent 2 years going after that 1,000 truck company. What happens if he gets so busy that he turns over his follow-up to a virtual assistant and they screw that relationship up by sending a bad email because they're in a bad mood? You see what I mean? And it happens all the time in big businesses because guess what? When you pay an employee to do something for you, they're doing it the way they do it. And they're not thinking about what it took for you to build your company. They're doing what you're paying them to do today. Does that make sense? So when you walk into a Starbucks and get into an argument with somebody over the counter, right? A barista, and that barista is talking to you crazy, they're not thinking about the fact that Starbucks spent all these years building up a customer base and they cussing you out because they're in a bad mood and you never come back again and Starbucks loses your money and that person just worked there. It's not affecting their paycheck because they're getting the same paid, the same thing to come back tomorrow. Starbucks is losing the money because you don't come back. They don't lose their job. Does that make sense? So when you build your business up, you want to have templates and things in place so that you can then start to say, hey, you know what? Let me turn some of this over to a virtual assistant. Let me turn some of this over to whoever's going to help me. And if that person says, hey, how do I respond to these people? Or I've already got a template there. Now they know to click the template and just change who it's going to versus them rewriting all of the stuff that you've already put into your business that's got it to where it's at before you turn that business over. Does that make sense? All right, guys. So that's it. That's it for me. We are what, 20 minutes over, Sharanda?
So I got one question.
Uh-huh.
So like I'll just say me, like on my phone, I may use another email type software.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just in Google, like in that platform, like in Gmail, or like go exactly to Gmail. That's where that's gonna take place. Those templates.
Yeah, and you have to be doing it in your Gmail account that way. Now, I would imagine that Outlook, because Outlook is a business email.
It's not Outlook.
Huh? It's not Outlook. Gotcha. So yeah, if you're using another system, you would just have to cut and paste.
An app.
Yeah, or an app, you would have to just cut and paste that way. Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. Good stuff. Some of this came through the chat. Let me check it real quick.
Yeah, she was saying.
There you go, Jerry. That's correct. Yeah, you gotta guide people, man. I'm working with some people now. I got some people like doing some things for me behind when they come out of my funnels and stuff like that on my, not in Legal Shield, on my other business. And it's like, man, people, they just don't know how to deal with people. Like, you know what I mean? It's like I have to show them. They respond to people because they're getting paid to do a certain amount of work for you. They aren't taking into any consideration what it took me to build my client base and my email list and all that. And I spent a lot of time doing it. Like I spent a lot of time building up my prospect list and making sure that I treat them in a way that they don't disappear on me. And the last thing I'm going to ever do is turn that over to somebody, just screw it up because they're dealing with their own personal stuff. That's your business. I'm paying you to handle my business like I would handle it, not to handle it like you would handle it. If you want to do that, then go start your own company. I'm sorry. So that's where that's at. So you got to make sure that people have that you give people the right tools to work your business. And that's just thinking for the future. But in the meantime, when you're doing it for yourself, it will increase your productivity because you're not constantly writing the same emails over and over again, or just cutting and pasting and then, deleting and, just template. You got it in there. It's automation. Got it? All right, guys. Thanks for joining us this week again. We look forward to you guys next week. Don't forget, get signed up for the 27th training with Alan Roman and Lamar Reynolds. Don't forget that Sharanda Ivy has a Thursday accountability call where you can talk about the activity that you're actually doing in the CDLP space. We'll be here again next Monday. The 4th annual replay is unedited still right now, but it is on YouTube. My editor his anniversary was this past weekend, so dude basically told me, hey, look, I don't know what to tell you, but his wife is more important to me and she should be. So whenever he gets back, he'll start editing and we'll have everything in there labeled a certain way. But right now you can see it just like you saw it live last week. So thank you guys for joining us. We look forward to seeing you guys on next week, and everybody have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you. Have a great one.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good night,
Deborah.
Thank you, everybody.
everyone.
This
Thank you
was
so
a
much.
call. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Night, everybody.
Good night, Jackie.
Good night.